R. Kelly is going to spend more time in jail after being found guilty of child pornography and trying to get minors to have sex with him. He was sentenced to 20 years in jail today. He will serve all but one of those years at the same time as his 30-year sentence for sex trafficking and crime. R. Kelly had it all. He was once known as the King of R&B, riches, fame, and a voice that ruled the charts. But behind all the success, a bad story was coming out, one that killed a lot of people and eventually brought him down. It is now real. R. Kelly will be in federal jail for 30 years because she sold sex and abused girls and women. In today's video, we'll show you how the person went from being a world superstar to a convicted criminal. How did he finally get caught? What did take place in court? Was this the fairness everyone had been waiting for? The last chapter is here. Not any more shows. Give up your reasons. This is the end of R. Kathy. Goodbye for good. From the first moment he showed up, people in the music business thought Kelly was hot. He was charismatic, sure of himself, and obviously skilled. Every song he sang had a spark that people couldn't quite describe. His music was played everywhere. People in churches sang, "I Believe I Can Fly," over and over again. People swayed to Ignition, especially the remix. In clubs, he was #1 on the charts and on the radio. He seemed like he could do no wrong for a long time. People in the entertainment business and the public in general saw his marriage to Aaliyah, who was 15 at the time, as nothing more than a strange news story. Things began to change in the early 2000s, though. A shocking truth came out of nowhere one day and shook the music world. On a sex tape with R. Kelly's name got out. This wasn't just any embarrassing video. The video showed the singer having sexual relations with a girl who looked very young. It was even scarier because it had video of him peeing on her. It should have been a turning point, a horrifying piece of proof that showed who he really was and couldn't be ignored. Instead, it was used as a joke in late-night shows. The world didn't turn away from him, even though the tape was very disturbing and caused a lot of worry. Kelly was caught and charged with child pornography in 2002. He said he wasn't guilty and was quickly freed on bail. After less than a year, he was caught again on the same charges, but this second round was thrown out because of a mistake. Many people thought that this was the moment when the industry finally spoke out against him and fans would stop backing him, at least until the court spoke. That did not happen. Kelly's work didn't stop while she was out on bail. It went up. He put out the record Chocolate Factory just 1 month after his second arrest. It sold over 500,000 copies in its first week. His songs kept getting to the top of the charts. Things were like they were not there. Years went by. More and more delays in the case were caused by both investigators and Kelly's own lawyers. Still, the attention on his abuse waned. Other, more disturbing facts came to light in the background. His wife asked for a divorce, saying she had been abused physically and emotionally. Many people said that he had paid his brother $50,000 to lie about the sex tape. He didn't seem to slow down at all, though. It had been 6 long years since the last hearing. The sex tape became the most important part of the prosecution's case when it did. A 27-minute movie played while 14 jurors sat still. It was detailed, upsetting, and impossible to forget. Many people already thought it was true, but what happened next made them even less sure. Many people came forward to speak in R. Kelly's trial as it went on. A lot of people were sure that the man on the famous tape was Kelly, and that the girl in the video was only 14 years old. But there was one important thing missing. The girl who was said to be the victim refused to speak. Her close family also did. No matter what other people said, her parents claimed it wasn't her in the video. After many years, it was either proven or said that Kelly had paid the family $2 million to keep quiet. It wouldn't be the first time that claims like that came up. Later, it came out that bribery, settlements, and hush money were all normal parts of his plan to avoid consequences. To hide the truth, he had made a fortress out of money and legal tricks. But no one outside of the trial knew any of that at the time of the trial. The court only had a young girl who didn't want to talk and parents who supported her decision not to speak. The effect was terrible. After being on trial for 5 weeks and only 7.5 hours, R. Kelly was found not guilty of all 14 counts of child pornography. Kelly broke down in tears and kept saying, "Thank you, Jesus." His lawyers were very happy. His friends and family rushed to hug him like say he had just won an award, not like he had just gotten away with a crime against a child. As soon as the trial was over, reporters mobbed the jurors. A lot of people had hinted before that they thought he was guilty. What did change? The disturbing answer was the girl's name, or rather the fact that it wasn't known for sure. Most of the jurors agreed that the man on the tape was Kelly, but some weren't sure that the girl was who other people said she was. A juror said, "Most of us felt that maybe it was Kelly, maybe not, but nobody could agree if it was her. We had seen photos of her at other times, and she seemed like a young girl. It seemed like the girl on the tape was much more developed." That comment alone caused outrage. The girl in question was 14 years old. She might not have been able to take the stand because of stress, but 14 other people had said it was her. That wasn't enough, though. Even though everything, R. Kelly felt great when she left that courtroom. After thanking his fans for always being there for him, he was greeted outside by a group of women who had been there for him during the whole trial and were ready to hug, cheer for, and enjoy his victory. This shocked many people. It's hard not to wonder when you look back. Would things have gone the same way if the trial had finished differently? Would so many women and girls not have had to go through years of pain and tragedy? What if the scary story of R. Kelly's story finished right then? It didn't happen that way. She was free instead, not being suspected, not having to answer for his actions, and being able to keep doing whatever he pleased without being watched or punished. What could go wrong when a man who was caught on video hurting a child is not being watched and is free to go? There were hidden truths about R as the Time's Up and Me Too groups grew around the world. After Kelly's trial, details about her life began to come to light. What they showed was more upsetting than anyone had thought. In 2015, Jay and Tim took their 19-year-old daughter to meet the famous R&B singer after one of his shows. They were happy at the time. Kelly's offer to help their daughter start her singing career felt like a once-in-a-lifetime chance because their daughter wanted to be a singer. Jay, who has been a fan for a long time, had heard the rumors about his past but didn't give them much thought. "In the back of our minds, we were thinking my daughter could be around him if I was with her," she told BuzzFeed News. It didn't really hit home. But that feeling of safety didn't last. Before long, their daughter became distant, then unreachable. It wasn't just fandom anymore. Something was wrong. Phone calls became rare. Holidays passed without her. She stopped coming home, stopped communicating, and began lying about when and how she was seeing Kelly. Jay and Tim's worst fears were coming true. Their daughter, it seemed, had been pulled into something darker than they'd ever imagined. As they investigated further, a horrifying, real identity began to emerge. Their daughter had been drawn into what many would later describe as a cult led by none other than R. Kelly himself. It was the first time the world would hear these disturbing stories out loud. The BuzzFeed expose that featured Jay, Tim, and their daughter, along with accounts from other women who had managed to escape R. Kelly's control, pulled back the curtain on a dark, hidden world. The article alleged that Kelly was running what many called a sex cult, a claim so outrageous it stunned readers everywhere. But at first it was just words on a screen. There were no faces, no voices, no way to feel the full weight of the trauma these women had endured. Despite the public outrage, very little changed. Then came Mute R. Kelly. It was 2017. Two women, Oranik Odelai and Kenyette Tisha Barnes, met in a coffee shop, reeling from the stories they'd read and heard. They were devastated, but determined. They knew something had to be done. Though others had spoken out before, these two women decided to push harder, louder, and farther than anyone had yet dared. What began as a local effort to cancel one of R. Kelly's shows in Atlanta quickly snowballed into an international movement. Mute R. Kelly chapters sprang up in cities around the globe. Protesters stood outside concert venues. Radio stations were bombarded with calls. Demonstrators gathered outside his recording studio. The energy was real, but progress came slowly. A few shows were canceled, but Kelly's label held firm. Streaming platforms like Spotify kept his music. For a while, it felt like shouting into the wind, and then everything changed. In January 2019, Lifetime released a 6-part documentary that would shake the public to its core, Surviving R. Kelly. The series began with familiar ground: the illegal marriage to Aaliyah, the infamous videotape, the early lawsuits. But as the documentary unfolded over 3 nights, it plunged deeper than anyone expected. The final episodes revealed in chilling detail the accounts of women who had survived R. Kelly's abuse. This time, the stories weren't just printed in black and white. They were spoken by the survivors themselves. Audiences could see their faces, hear the cracks in their voices, and feel the pain in their eyes. The veil had finally been lifted. The truth was no longer deniable. One of the most gut-wrenching chapters in the R. Kelly saga centers around the story of Dominique Gardner, a young woman lured into his world, then slowly molded by his control. Under Kelly's influence, Dominique was persuaded to cut her hair and dress in masculine clothing. Her transformation wasn't just physical, it was psychological. And behind the scenes, her mother was watching helplessly, desperate to bring her daughter back. In the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, Dominique's mother emerged as one of the most quietly heroic figures. She shared her story alongside a former employee of Kelly's who chose to remain anonymous. This employee revealed disturbing insights into the singer's manipulation, explaining Dominique was seen as the rebellious one. She got in trouble a lot. She was a tomboy, and Robert exploited that. There was a staff member who tried to help her because Dominique expressed that she was being mistreated. Heartbroken but determined, Dominique's mother took action. She tracked her daughter to a hotel and managed to speak with her privately. That moment seemed to break through the walls Kelly had built around Dominique. A few hours after their emotional encounter, Dominique called her mother and said the words she had been longing to hear. She wanted to come home. The two women escaped the hotel together. Later, Dominique would say it was the hardest decision of her life. Another survivor who came forward was Janda Pace. She met R. Kelly when she was just 16 during his 2008 trial. Not long after, she moved in with him and quickly became a victim of his abuse. Geronda recounted chilling memories of being slapped, choked, and isolated from her loved ones. Her movements were strictly controlled, her voice silenced. Geronda and Dominique had once been friends, both living under the same roof, but Kelly ensured they never saw each other. Attempts to meet in secret,